Okay, you guys, so let's go ahead and graph some more functions. Again, these are what I call phantom functions. We're going to have to play around with the viewing rectangle. But before I start the next little journey here, right, let me show you another feature. Usually this is a good habit to get into. After you've done a problem and you've changed the viewing rectangle for the problem you're in, you'll probably want to go right back to the standard viewing rectangle. Again, that's the negative 10 to 10, negative 10 to 10. So rather than doing all the button pressing, a quick way to do it is if you go to the zoom feature here in the middle and press that, one of the features, if you scroll down, is Z standard. So press Z standard, and what it does is it automatically gives you the standard viewing rectangle, negative 10 to 10, negative 10 to 10. So that's a faster way to do that. So let's go ahead and graph y equals x squared plus 20. So again, I'm going to enter a function. So I got to go to y equals, right? So press that. Y is already solved for this. So as a matter of fact, let me clear this old line function. And what we need is x, right? So again, that's that key right here, right? There's our variable. So x, we're going to square it. So just use the squaring feature right here. And then we're going to add 20 to it. And then press enter. So x squared plus 20 is now loaded into the computer's memory. Press graph, right, to see the graph. And again, what we're going to get is nothing, right? And that doesn't mean our calculator is broken. It just means that we're looking at an area where the graph doesn't exist. So again, if we do some point plotting, let's just put a 0 in there. Always the y-intercept's a real easy one to do. Squaring 0, we get 20. So it looks like we're at least at 20. Let me do one more. If I put 1 in there, 1 squared plus 20 is 21, 24. So it looks like the values are starting around 20 and going all the way to 24. So my x-min and my x-max are fine. My y-min's actually okay. I'm going to go ahead and change that though. But I need to at least be past 20 as far as y-max is concerned. So let's go change that. So window, I'm going to leave x-min alone, x-max alone, the scale alone. I'm going to actually change the y-min. Let's make it negative 5 just to be different. And then let's make the y-max. Let's take it all the way out to 50. All right? And then let's change our scale again along the y-axis to 5 as well. So when we press graph, right, we're expecting to see a parabola, right? So a U-shape from negative 10 to 10 along the x-axis with scale of 1. And then from negative 5 to 50 with a scale of 5 along the y-axis. So we should see this shape, right, if I've done all my work right. So I'm going to press graph, and lo and behold, there's my parabola doing exactly what I said. So my picture windows from negative 10 to 10 and tick marks of 1 along the x-axis, from negative 5 to 30 with tick marks of 5, 10, 15, 20, right? You can observe that the intercept, the y-intercept is exactly where it should be, right, with regard to my scale. So there's basically my picture window, and we're good to go. We're happy. We can do all the analysis and work with that function. All right, so let's go to the new function. Again, let me practice that skill. Let's go ahead and zoom standards. Let's get back to standard viewing rectangle. And the next one has some nuances all of its own. So again, what we're expecting out of this graph, sorry about that, what we're expecting out of this graph is another parabola. All right, for those who are in the know, because this is negative, I'm actually expecting this parabola to be opening downwards. So there's a good understanding going into this. And as far as entering it on my calculator, right, here's how I would do it. I go y equals, let me clear the function I had. I like to use parentheses. So I'm going to say parentheses negative 1, make sure you're using the right negative, divided by 4. Right, so there's my negative 1/4. We have my x, right, so press our xt, theta, and n button, our variable button, squared, right, so squaring button. We're going to add to that 20x, and then we're going to add to that 300. Press enter. So I've entered the function. You can go back up to it, kind of scroll through to make sure you have everything right, which I'm pretty sure I do. Right, and so when I go graph, right, press the graph key. Again, you kind of see the calculator working up here, right? It's working, it's working, it's working, it's working, stopped, and I don't see anything, right? And again, this is due to the fact that the picture, right, that parabola is out here somewhere. And if we, again, do a table of values, if I let x equal to 0, right, that's 0, that's 0, we can already see we have a value of 300 right off the bat. So we're way, way off in terms of the y-axis. And then, so Heck, even in the x-axis, right, the numbers are pretty large. So we're going to have to really play around with this. So, maybe if you want, we can put in something else in there, like a 4 or whatever. But let's just go start playing around. We already know with one data point that we're way off in the y-axis. So let's go to our window. For my x-min, I'm going to actually, let's kind of experiment with this. Let's go from negative 50 to 50, and then steps of 5. All right, and then in terms of the y-axis, right, let's go ahead and let's keep negative 10 there, or let's go to from negative 50, and we have to go all the way up to 300. So let's double that. Let's go all the way to 600, and then we'll go in steps of 50. All right, so when I go graph, we're going to hopefully see our parabola we're expecting from negative 50 to 50 along the x-axis in steps of 5, from negative 50 to 600 in steps of 50 along the y. So press graph, and it's going to work, and it's going to work, and it's going to work, and there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is we're starting to see the shape of the parabola. The bad news is I'm not seeing everything. So I think my x in the negative direction and my y in the negative direction are good, so my minimum values are good, but my maximum values are not. So we're going to have to play around with that again. So let's go back to window. X-min's good. How about we just double that, make that 100? And how about we go in steps of 10, since I've created a bigger range, if you would, or domain. Y-min was good, but Y-max was not. So how about we make that 1,000? And we'll still go, how about we go in steps of 100, right, since I've made my range a lot bigger. So when I go graph now, right, here's the new picture window, and lo and behold, we got it, right? There's my parabola, right? And we have basically from, what was it, negative 50 to 100 in steps of 10, and from negative 50 to 1,000 in steps of 100. And so now we can see the parabola in its full. We can start looking at high points. We can see where its intercepts are all. We can do a lot of analysis with that graph. Okay? And so last thing I'll say about this is when you guys are basically doing some things on your calculator, help me and your classmates out, right? You might want to at least tell us, what your picture window looks like, right? So what's your x-min and your x-max? What's your y-min and your y-max? That way, when we're trying to help you, we're actually all looking at the same window. Alrighty, so there's your window. There's some more graphing. There's that concept of phantom functions. We're going to obviously do so much more with this, but I'll cut away to some new videos where we play around with some more pretty cool features. But again, hopefully you guys can also see how much you need to know in order to get the most out of your calculator. The more math you know, the better the tool it is, because it is truly a wonderful tool if you know what you're doing algebraically and mathematically. Alrighty, so see you guys in the next video.